Okay, just going to have a look in the very back panel of the spaceship. There's a hatch here that you can open. If we look inside, so this is sort of a bit of a space in here. This thing is you might see in the other pics, is the sort of cube with the wedge on it that I made separately, and it's got in the wedge it has some speakers. You'll see the speakers sort of up the back there. It's just a timber frame, and it's got some plywood on the top and bottom. It's got some vents here, which just from a hardware shop. And underneath there is where the 240 volts goes. There's a cable going in there, an extension lead, and inside there is an adapter that converts to 12 volts, and then the 12 volts runs up the side into up there at the top, and inside there is another compartment you can get to from the top, and inside there is all the 12 volt wiring. So about this cage, it's got sort of this cage material here, just used from a hardware shop. Just for making fences or something, and behind there is sort of a tangle of I sort of wanted to make it look a bit like a bit of a sort of wiring mess. So I sort of put in a whole lot of pipes. You can see these pipes here, which you just get from the hardware shop again. It's got this neon piping that lights up. I read somewhere it runs off about 9 volts or something, but it's got a driver which I think puts the voltage up a bit higher, well, a fair bit higher I think. And I was told just to keep it away from kids, so I didn't want them sort of playing with it too much, even though they can touch it. But I didn't want them playing it too much, so I sort of tried to fix it behind there. And up the back you can see there's an old motherboard there, just spray painted black, and I've drilled some holes in there and put some flashing LEDs in. Just a network cable up the top that doesn't do anything, just goes up there and it's fixed up there somewhere. And I think behind there's a button, a hidden button that you can press that makes a sound. There we go. Just a little secret button that the kids can press. So this thing in the middle, it's a Doctor Who toy that I found in a second-hand shop, and I think it was like I don't know if it's his phone box he uses or some sort of capsule thing. Anyway, it was a toy, and I ground the front off it with the Dremel, and just embedded some LED lights in there, some sort of lights inside there and the wiring comes down in that tube there and goes down to the bottom behind there. And I ran this steel pipe through it. So this is an exhaust pipe. It's got a whole lot of holes in it that I found on eBay and spray painted black. I ground the front off it here, just for this space here, and there's a Perspex pipe there, and at the same diameter pipe is actually running through the whole thing. You'll see that in a second, it lights up. But I was sort of trying to capture, I remember in Superman 2, in his fortress thing, he had a whole lot of crystals and things like this, and I just sort of wanted to capture that look. So I've got this inside the Perspex tube is a micro switch, and that it's probably hard to see from here. I've drilled a hole in the Perspex, and the micro switch goes through the back of the Perspex tube, and out the back is where the actual switch is, and the paddle is sort of sitting inside this Perspex to sense when there's pressure on it. So I've got this quartz crystal, and this was just from eBay. Again, it was about 10 quid or about $10 if you're talking US dollars. And if you put this in here, you'll hear a sound. that's just triggered a sound in the sound module, and a whole lot of lights as well. So I've got a ton of LED lights there. So this pipe in the middle, you can see the Perspex pipe sort of through the holes. That's the same diameter as this pipe, and I filled it with resin, and I dyed the resin green to get that nice sort of glow. And the resin actually expanded and cracked the pipe, but it doesn't really matter. It's because it's hidden behind this. So I think I used some dye that was meant for staining, for dyeing resin. As I mentioned, a ton of LEDs to get this bright enough. You'll probably see, looks like some of them are lit up, but there's a lot there, and a ton of LEDs up the top and bottom to make that all light up.